Story 1. Am I the a-hole for rejecting a dinner after mother-in-law insulted me at son's funeral? I lost my son to congenital heart disease, and he did not survive the open heart surgery at the age of 1 year and 6 months. He was the greatest blessing I had in my life. Everyone kept telling me things would get easier with time. I know that no matter how much time goes by, I'll still be missing my baby and everything sweet about him. My mother-in-law and I were in constant conflict. Things have always been bad between us, but in those months we reached our limit. She kept getting involved in my son's treatment and criticized every decision I made, claiming I didn't know how to handle my son's illness. We went into low contact, but she kept causing issues occasionally. My husband was torn between our son's illness and his mother's issues. When my son passed away, she came to the funeral and caused a scene by arguing with me, knowing I had no energy for it. She used the fact that everyone was there so she could say it was my fault my son was born sick and I didn't take care of him properly, that I didn't listen to her when suggested other ways to treat his condition, and that I was the one who took their grandchild away from them and caused them heartache. She then loudly called me a bad mother. I had no idea how I kept my composure and kept standing on both feet. My mom and sisters responded by telling her to leave. My husband was sitting down crying. She then went to tell everyone I kicked her out as a way to hurt her further and lied that I convinced my husband to ban her from visiting her grandson's grave. My husband later sent his side of the family an email talking about my mother-in-law's behavior during and after our son's illness, and telling them he no longer would be seeing her. That had the family criticizing us, saying the mother-in-law was just trying to do what was best for her grandbaby and called us selfish for assuming we were the only ones struggling with this tragedy. We haven't seen his mom in 1 year and 8 months. I'm now 3 months pregnant. No one knew, only my sister-in-law, brother-in-law's wife, but word got out. Though we told her not to say anything, a week later I had family members saying I was invited to a dinner hosted by my mother-in-law so she could apologize in front of the whole family and settle this issue before the baby was born. They said the in-law was regretful and offered to financially provide for her grandbaby, and they wanted to see that. I refused, but my husband surprisingly wanted me to go. I had his grandparents calling me, telling me that I'm a person with a good heart and forgiveness is something I'm capable of giving. I told them I'd never be sitting at the same table with the person who called me a bad mother at my child's funeral. I still remember it vividly to this very day. My sister said this change of heart from my mother-in-law is probably for the new baby. It could be, but I insisted I won't come. They're saying I'm making it hard for everyone to move on and past this unresolved pain and should go. Yeah, I'm sorry. The person who posted this is not making it hard. The person who made it hard was the mother-in-law at the funeral saying just some unforgivable things. And not to say that she couldn't be forgiven. If this poster wanted to forgive the mother-in-law, that's up to them. But I think it's well within their right to be upset, to go through one of the most tragic things I think a person could go through in their entire life, to lose a child. And at that young age and everything, that is something that I don't think that she will ever be able to forget. That is one of the biggest tragedies you can experience. And then to top that off with the mother-in-law blaming her loudly at the funeral and stuff, I'm sorry, I don't care if that mother-in-law really did believe all that. You don't say that to a parent grieving the loss of their child. That is monstrous. And so, yeah, I don't blame this person for being like, no, I don't want to forgive her. I don't want to be around her. Clearly this mother-in-law is just like, ooh, finally, another grandkid. I want to be part of this one. It's not that she genuinely feels bad about that. It's that she wants to have another chance with a grandkid. And sure, I don't blame her for that. And maybe she is regretful. Maybe she does want to make amends, but it's not her choice to make at this point. And she has no right to be upset if this person doesn't want to forgive her. This mother-in-law did a terrible thing, and she has to live with the consequences. Story 2. Petty revenge on a cheating ex sending DMs after he got cheated on. So this happened 7 years ago, but I had an ex-boyfriend, R, who sent me a Facebook request and messages over 3 years after we broke up. R cheated on me, his stepmother stole $600 from me, and he was a mooch. He did not chip in on rent and utilities. I, on the other hand, was a spineless people-pleaser who had a hard time saying no and often got taken advantage of. I'm also a single mom, and my kid was a toddler. R got a girlfriend from one of his back-burner stacks of chicks he was cheating on me with immediately after breaking up with me because he was unhappy. I didn't speak to him for 3 years or more, and suddenly he DMs me and friend requests me on Facebook. His girlfriend that had been all but wiping his butt for him had a side piece that she left R for. I had changed in the years we didn't speak. I don't take this nonsense lying down. I chose petty revenge. R worked nights. This will be important later. I solicited numerous friends to send me pictures of their middle fingers and memes. I got too many to just flood his page. Cue YouTube. I made a 5-minute video of memes and middle fingers set to Pink Guy's song STFU. I waited until I knew R was asleep. I lived for him for 3 years and knew his patterns. That's when I added him and posted my creation on R's Facebook and my Facebook with a tag. R woke up late in the day and replied to one on his page and said he deserved it. I was up for at least 8 hours. R paid me some of the money he owed me, not all of it. As soon as he got a new girlfriend, he was back to schlepping. So, I got some money back, R was humbled, and he will never darken my doorstep again for fear of public humiliation. I mean, yeah, that honestly seems pretty dang fair, and I applaud. This is, I think, some appropriate revenge to be gotten on this person. And as far as R, yeah, he kind of needs to be humbled and clearly needs to learn some lessons, you know? If you're going to be a cheater and kind of scuzzy and mooch off of people and all that stuff, those things eventually come back to bite you in the rear end, you know? You can't just be a crappy person all the time and get away with it. I mean, unless you're rich, I guess, you know, or politician or whatever, but for the rest of us, you can't. The rest of us can't do that. The rest of us have to try and be good to other people, and then hopefully good things will happen in our life, but not always, but sometimes. Look, I'm just going to take solace in knowing that this person got a little something they deserved and hopefully learned a lesson, okay? I need to believe in karma. Story 3. My mother-in-law tampered with my birth control, and now I am pregnant. Let me just start by saying, if you know who I am, please don't say anything. I created a throwaway to vent and cry and get support as anonymously as possible. I'm still very happy about the pregnancy, or at least want to be. I just need support. Thanks for understanding. My husband, 22 male, and I, 20 female, welcomed our daughter into the world 18 weeks ago. She's a darling baby and pretty easy as far as newborns go, except for one, she wasn't a son. My in-laws were obsessed with the idea of us having a son, to the point that they denied she was a girl up until the moment she was born. Why? Because the bloodline follows the father. If you don't have a son, our family name will die out because your daughter will marry a man and carry on his bloodline. So girls don't count. The day they came to visit in the hospital, my in-laws asked when we would be trying for another baby. We just kind of laughed it off, but my mother-in-law got more insistent, straight up telling us, "Y'all need to try for a boy." Over the next month or two, the conversation about us having another baby sort of tapers off into little comments now and again. I had no problem ignoring them, and we'd already told them it wasn't happening, so I just let it run off my back. Around this time, mother-in-law started coming over daily for a few hours, watching the baby for me so that I could sleep and also occasionally clean up a bit for me. She'd be over unsupervised anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. Fast forward to the present day. 2 days ago, my husband poured me a mixed drink, and when I brought the cup up to my lips, I got hit with this paranoid and panicked feeling. I immediately put the cup down and insisted we take a pregnancy test. Sure enough, it comes back positive. We wait until the next morning, take a digital test, and again, positive. Based on LMP, I should have been about 6 weeks along. After getting over the initial shock, we were excited but confused for several reasons. We hadn't been able to get hormonal birth control, so we'd been using condoms and lube to make sure they didn't tear. So we weren't sure how we gotten pregnant, but we're happy with the news. We decided we wouldn't tell anyone because we didn't want another baby stampede from his family, but I'm incredibly close with my sister-in-law, so I decided to tell her after swearing her to secrecy. When I told her, her eyes got wide and started to water, and she asked if I was serious, and was I sure? I told her I know my husband and I are young, but between us, we make more than enough to support another baby. Sister-in-law bursts into tears and starts to apologize over and over. Meanwhile, I sit there with my mouth hanging open and lost. She calms down a bit and through her tears tells me that my mother-in-law has been poking holes in our condoms pretty much since we came home from the hospital. She claims mother-in-law told her she did it, but she thought that she was just spouting crap because she was upset we didn't have a boy. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. That's why the condoms didn't work even though we were careful with them. That's why she'd always shoo me off to sleep while she was around. And that's what she was doing when she was cleaning my house, snooping for our condoms. And she knew I wasn't on birth control because I remember complaining to her about how my OB went on maternity leave and I wasn't able to find another one that took my insurance at the time. I am so angry I don't know what to do. I want to go right over to her house and tear her a new one so bad I can smell my tires burning on the blacktop. I'm also illogically angry at sister-in-law for not telling me. How could you think this was a joke when she was so specific about everything she was going to do? Why didn't you warn me? I would have put my condoms in my room. I'm livid with mother-in-law. I'm pleased with this pregnancy, but it wasn't my choice. It wasn't even an accident. It was her meddling because she didn't get the golden grandson she wanted. I don't even know how to handle this. I want to scorch the earth, but I also still don't want his family knowing I'm pregnant. And I'm not even 12 weeks yet, so the risk of a miscarriage is still uncomfortably high. The only bright side of this whole thing is it snatched my husband out of his mother's fog so violently he probably got whiplash. Personally, my pregnancy has soured a bit, so I'm trying to hang on to any happiness I have about the pregnancy left. If you have Irish twins of your own or are one, I'd love some positive feedback on that situation. Where do we go from here? I'm sorry, happy with the pregnancy or not, for that mother-in-law to interfere like that and basically try and make sure that you have another pregnancy, that is not her right whatsoever. And frankly, if I found out that that was done to me, I would just straight up tell her, well, we're not going to keep your family name going. I don't know how, but it's not going to happen. And also, I don't want you to see this kid for a while. I frankly want to have less to do with you. What is with mother-in-laws in this video and sister-in-laws revealing stuff? I don't know. It's too much for me, but mother-in-laws or anyone out there, if you do something like this, I think it may even be illegal, and if it's not, you should be able to be sued for this, because to poke holes in someone's condoms to get them pregnant for any reason is wild. You do not have the right to do that, and frankly, you should face some consequences, because that is absolutely awful. What is wrong with people? I need a son to carry on the family name. I hope this family changes their last name legally, just so that family name doesn't get to live on. Oh my God. If this was my mom who had done this to my spouse or something, I'd be like, I will make sure the family name dies with you. I hate you. Well, I don't hate you, but I'd be mad. I'm mad enough that I said it. Now I even feel bad. Story 4. Today I effed up by buying cheap cologne. Let me preface this by saying I get random hives throughout the year. I know I'm allergic to latex and nickel, and I don't know what else. I recently went to the Covered Bridge Festival in Indiana with my family. People sell all sorts of stuff. Some counterfeit stuff, like Carhartt beanies for $8, some off-brand stuff, cheap signs and flags, etc. One booth was selling knockoff cologne. I've recently gotten into bettering myself, decided to see if they had something similar to Creed Aventus. The connection out there is terrible, and I never tried Creed before, but I heard it was very good. He recommended something he had. I then spent 10 minutes trying to Google search it, seeing if it was similar to Creed Aventus, and it popped up as being a replica. What do I have to lose besides $40? The smell was very up my alley, and my family liked it too. I bought it for $40. I decided it was worth it at that price compared to the real thing. I've been using it the past 2 days on my neck and have gotten a nasty itch rash there. I never put 2 and 2 together until today after I sprayed some more, irritating it even more. I guess the Benadryl I've been taking the last few days has been a waste. Now I'm wondering if the real stuff would cause me to get hives as well, or should I stay away from generic replicas in general? I don't know. I mean, go into a nicer store where they give out like samples and stuff like that. Find someplace that's doing the Creed Aventus or whatever the hell it was called, and then get some sprays of it and see how you do. Who knows? Sometimes those cheap knockoffs are pretty solid. Like I got one for cologne like 20 years ago, and it was nice stuff. It was great. I used it for, it's a big tall bottle, and I used that thing till the very end. It was wonderful. But yeah, I don't know. I would be careful getting cheap knockoff stuff. I mean, $40 isn't that cheap, but yeah, it's cheap enough with things like that I would be cautious. And the only way you're gonna know is to just find out and look into the stuff. I I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, folks, just be careful with knockoffs. Story 5. Am I the a-hole for kicking my son and his girlfriend out? This situation has made me a bit confused, so one of my neighbors suggested I post it here. I, 55 female, have 2 children, George, 31 male, and Gabrielle, 29 female. Gabrielle recently got engaged, and I am helping her plan the wedding in my spare time, which the entire family is very excited for, except for George. George recently divorced his wife of 7 years, Susanna, 28 female, after he said the spark had gone out. They have a set of twins together, Amy and Alice, 6 female, and are trying to set up a healthy co-parenting relationship. Susanna is a great mother to my grandkids, and I was disappointed in George for giving up so fast on their relationship without even trying couples counseling, but it wasn't my business or place to say anything. The drama started when George brought his new girlfriend to dinner at my house. He met his girlfriend, Bethany, 25, through a work colleague, and they've been dating for around 4 months. At dinner, Gabrielle and I were discussing flower arrangements, and Bethany felt the need to ask George if he'd ever marry again. George coughed before replying that he'd have to think about it, which Bethany seemed to deflate at. Well, this caused Alice to cry about how she wants Mommy and Daddy to love each other again. George and Bethany just sat there while my granddaughter screamed. After I comforted Alice, I pulled George aside and asked if he was sure about Bethany, which he told me was none of my business. I told him it was my business who he invited into my home and my grandchildren's lives, since I've been caring for them in my spare time while he works. He and Susanna have 50-50 custody. George got angry and said it was Gabrielle's fault for mentioning weddings in the first place. I told him to stop acting like a child and to be happy for his sister. Then Bethany felt the need to insert herself and tell me that she and George were together no matter how much I liked his ex-wife. After that, I was done with the conversation and asked them both to leave. George and Bethany stormed off, flipped me the bird, and left my grandchildren at my house at 7 p.m. I had to call Susanna to collect the children since they had school in the morning, and I was attending a cake tasting with Gabrielle the next day. I feel like I shouldn't have to tell my 31-year-old son to be happy for his sister or argue with a random woman who I've never met before in my own home. So, am I the a-hole? Kind of, yeah. I think, not completely. I think maybe George's reaction wasn't the best, but also, folks, family, please, stop asking people about marriage in front of people that they've been dating for a few months. For a lot of people, that's not even the point when some folks are ready to say, like, I love you and stuff like that. Things can take time. People move at different speeds, and it's so uncomfortable to be together with someone that you haven't even known for half a year and have your family be like, so you think you'll ever get married again? Oh, you thinking you might have kids? Like, that is maybe something that they've not even fully had a chance to discuss, and now you're making it awkward trying to make them talk about it in front of family. Don't do that. It's just so... it's so awkward and uncomfortable. So, right away there, not a cool thing to do. And then, I get it. You like the ex, and it seems like he gave up right away, but do you really know everything that happened in their relationship? Maybe there was a lot more to it that you don't know, and their reason for separating wasn't that bad. I don't know. I don't have enough information. I don't know these people, but I'm just throwing that out there. It seems like you're really not giving this new person a chance, because 4 months is around the time where it's like, yeah, it might be nice if you met my family. We're getting serious, but not serious enough for all that crap. I don't know. I don't think that George and Bethany's reaction was the best, but I also think that you folks weren't being the best to them. So if I really had to choose who was the worst in this situation, though, I would say Gabrielle and Mom here. Not great. Not awful, but do better. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.